Carrie comes in, it's fine. We have the list of policies to look at. I would like to discuss the last one. I think that's what the board gave us the charge to do. But if there's any of the other ones you want to look at, we can do that first. I didn't see anything that was too tempting in there that.
It all makes sense to me. There's nothing really.
I'd like to just ask a question about number 4210.
New support staff ethics?
Yeah. Yeah, and my question is, what exactly do we mean under I when we say refrain from using position or public property or permitting another person to use an employee's position or public property for partisan, political, or religious purposes? And then it immediately says, this will in no way limit constitutional or legally protected rights as a citizen.
So what I believe this phrase is getting at is an employee is not allowed to, for example, open up Lincoln High School's library to hold a political or a religious exercise by using their own, their authority as a person who has like keys to the school, for example. That's about the only,
It says that they should try not to.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Refrain
where I was really confused is, first it says refrain.
But if they did, then, well, it's okay.
No,
That's what the policy says.
if that's what it's trying to say, this is support staff who I would
Correct.
not think has the ability to open the building or the library.
Well, their keys, for
The
example,
library aid would have a.
But Chris, refrain from doing it.
yeah.
I would say shall not.
Shall not, if that's what we're trying to get to,
That is what.
then.
Shall not use
I would
position or
support shall
public
not.
property. Yeah, shall not.
Yeah, because refrain really means you're supposed to say you're trying not.
I tried not to, but I couldn't refrain.
True.
Yeah, we shall not or may not.
That's a good catch, Chris. I really didn't, but as soon as you said refrain, I thought, boy, that's pretty general.
I have no problem changing that to shall not at all.
Okay, so I would move to change it to may not use position
Shall not.
or public property. Shall not.
Do I shall?
Either one, yeah.
Okay.
Shall not use position or
I think
public.
different than shall not.
Yeah,
Yeah, shall not.
shall not.
Okay.
And that's, we will not be done. May is kind of like refrain, I think.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Hang on, I had. Yeah, the other one that I don't understand, and it's not that I don't understand the whole thing, there's just a part of it I don't understand. That's 1241. I had to find the part here. We used to get in a way with that I could highlight my stuff so that I
What's
could.
1241? Oh, there we go.
1241, non-renewal or termination of district administrator's contract.
Got it.
Okay. The part that confused me, if I can find it here, is that it requires that we mail our concerns in here. I'm just trying to find it now.
Sorry.
That's okay.
It's in this second.
Hi, Carrie.
Underneath the first X. So if the board intends to consider non-renewal of the district administrator's contract, it shall give the district administrator written preliminary notice
Yeah.
by registered mail at least 5 months prior to the
Expiration of contract. Now, the 5 months prior is absolutely in line with state law. I get that. I'm just a little confused why we're doing registered mail in our own building. Am foolish to ask why they're doing that?
Well, my guess is,
Because that's the rule.
and this is just a guess, and I'd have to look into it if you want me to, is that there may be
Statutory
statute.
requirement?
Because, for example, when we do expulsion hearing, you know, like, we have to send mailings.
Certified, though.
Certified,
Yeah,
correct. So
I mean,
they
it
do,
becomes real legal that way.
yeah. So, I mean, I can look into that if you want me to.
I don't think so.
I was just a little
Just
confused why we were doing
Yeah.
that. Registered mail, but, okay.
Okay.
That, it was a question, not
Sure. Yeah.
not gonna make or break my position.
Any of the other concerns on the other ones before we get to the facilities? Okay, let's
That's all
move to
right.
facilities.
7250.
Should be the last one on your list.
Oh, yeah.
As I went through this, well, let me explain some things first. I got a phone call. A gentleman was pretty angry that consideration wasn't given to other coaches to name the facility after that. There's been a lot of coaches that have been here a long time that have done a nice job.
Yeah.
Okay, and the other two gentlemen, Coach Granitz and Coach Mann, were in the district many years. They were upset about that, and so we talked, and I said, well, our facility right now is not good. The city gave it to us, and it's
Yeah,
not a
gave
good,
us
we
a
have
lot.
to, we have to fix it up. It's, you know, and that's gonna cost taxpayers money, and they're trying to raise money. This gentleman came forward with $200,000. But part of the condition of that was it would be named after the current coach, and he's been there 25 years, and I know the kids like him, and this gentleman's sons had him, and he was, you know, upset that money would be the driving force, and I said, well,
Absolutely.
he's honoring somebody. And then he said, well, what if Booker Boat came in and wanted to do the field? And I said, what I like about this proposal is they're honoring a coach, somebody that worked with the kids, and it's, you know, I have no problem against businesses giving money, but I'd rather name a facility after the educator. And then, as they did at the football field, the sponsors that gave a lot of money are on the field, and you can see them at every game. So I just so you know that feeling is out there, and a couple other people have approached me about, you know, why that person and not the other.
Well, you knew it was gonna be. I mean, this is politics, and you
Yes.
never please all the people all the time.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know?
And so my thought was, okay, so is there room, or is within our policy, is it possible to say, okay, it is Bruce Steinbecker Field,
Right.
and then
And the
as you
bleachers.
remodel, you've got to redo the press box because that's ready to fall over. Do you make that Gene Mann press box?
Oh, sure, they could do
And
something.
do you make the gate that you walk into, when you come into the field, you can make that granite gate?
Yeah.
And then what you're doing is you're honoring all the
Yeah.
coaches over the
That's right.
years that have worked with kids.
Sure.
You know, I'm just wondering if those kind of things, I know at the football field, they're thinking of John Dixon press box because he coached there, and
Yeah, that's
probably
good.
cost him his life because he wouldn't go to the hospital until the football season was over. The wrestling room at the high school, I know there's a sign for Dennis Kozlowski, and
Oh, there
people-
is? That's
Yeah, people have asked, well, what about Coach Freilich that has a whole bunch of conference titles in a row, and you know, are there ways? You can't keep everybody happy. I get that, but on the other hand, are there ways to say, okay, we're gonna, you know, there's a
There's ways to honor other people.
yeah, you know, and I don't care if that's taking the auditorium someday at Lincoln and saying, hey, we're gonna fix it up, and boom, it becomes some person on the arts wing of the building that
Sure.
did a great job. Or I know there was talk if the tower ever gets redone to make a Dorothy Crane Tower, because
Oh, yeah. The
she
crane.
was the English
Yeah.
teacher who ran the newspaper and the Flambeau and
Yeah,
was there
pretty
for
well.
probably 100 years or
Right.
so. You know, how can we make this policy kind of reflect maybe that, that,
I think it leaves it open by just, I don't think the policy excludes any of that, what you're talking about right now. The only thing we're changing now is to allow for this family, which to me still is, I mean, we're talking about an amazing family, an amazing coach, an all-around amazing situation. So I don't think that the policy itself would exclude anybody changing the name of any of our things, like you said, honoring people in different ways. I think that we have that open on our policy.
well, if we go through it, and I agree with you, if we go through it, the first section that's X, I don't see anything in there that would be any kind of problem. My only question when I read that is, when would you appoint a naming committee, or why would you do that? Or, Chris?
Well, I would not be in favor of creating a naming committee. I think if we have a facility and it's going forward, the people that are involved with the planning and the construction of it and the fundraising for it, they're gonna have real good guidance on naming, and I think that's gonna be fine. I think all these recommendations are good. I noticed that the part where an employee to be honored must be deceased or no longer employed by the district is not marked here. So the plan is not to include that?
Correct.
Is that correct, to strike that out?
Right.
Right. And I also think, I think these rules are fine. I also think we could have done it with the rules as we already had them set, because in our very foundational bylaws, we say we can set aside any rule by a majority vote of the board. And we could have done that too. But I like the idea of parts of it named for coaches that have been very involved with the program. I really think that's a great idea.
Do we need a way or an avenue, if a group comes forward, to put it through, before it goes to the board, to put it through a committee? Maybe it should go to the executive committee or something,
No, I don't think
or
so.
where should it go? See, the only thing I worry about is, okay, so.
What should go, like any other type of changes, like later on down the line, mean, or?
Yeah, like, well, let's say that I came in and I wanted something named after blah, 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 and should that be at least looked at before it comes to the board? You know what I mean? That there'd be a recommendation from, because I would hate to have an
Well,
open meeting and
let's just put
somebody
it in-
getting
Let's
trashed.
just use this-
You know what I mean?
the
That,
current situation for that.
Well, it would
think
make
that-
sense, I think, to direct that to facilities and finance.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I'm thinking if there was a petition, at least the way the current structure of the board committees would be facilities and finance. They could bring the proposal or the petition, I guess you'd say, to them. And then if the committee would vote it favorably to refer it to the board,
Right.
that could be a little bit of, I guess, check and balance there.
But you could use that, otherwise I was thinking the current board president, current administrator, whoever that may be, those two would be, you would bring that to them and they would decide whether or not to bring it to the board. That we have a board member and an administrator, superintendent and a board president.
I like that way of looking at something before it comes to the whole thing. So
Otherwise you get a lot of, I'm sure.
Yeah, these things get to be pretty tainted in some ways, this naming stuff. I mean, it's like, and for a committee to say, no, we're not going to recommend. I think, well,
Yeah, that's true. To be honest with you, let's think about it. That could, let's keep it real. That could become partisan. But if you're to choose an administrator and the board president, whether it is or not, you have somebody I think you probably have a better chance of fair.
And because of how this happened, and because it's this really good family that came forward and they're willing to do this, and I guess I was looking for the best way to do this without having that you know, having 10 people come to a meeting and say, well, we don't want that, we want it named after this guy, or, you know, which you might get anyway. I don't know. I guess I was just looking for the best way to make something not have to please everybody, you know, not that you don't want to please everybody, but at least not trash.
We have
yeah.
we have a kind of a, you know, a bit of a complicated thing here in that this started off as a citizens, we'll do it privately, you know, project. And they could have, I think that even in that case, since our baseball field, we probably could have vetoed whatever name or affirmed any name that they said. But I think that, well, this is one where, like, I mean, you already know that some of the citizens are going to be, gee, you know, they'd have their favorites, and you know very well the relationship between kids that played sports and coaches are tremendously emotional. But there's a lot of stakeholders involved in this one too. And I don't know if we give them a vote or not, do we? Or we give them an influence?
The board's gonna have the final vote.
Right.
The board, I think the board has to do the final vote, I guess.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I'm not so sure I want to, you know, have fistfights in committees about people
I like the idea of
who are
bringing it
somewhat jealous or resentful about something this potentially emotional, you know?
Well, the other part of this is kind of historical, meaning they know the coach because their sons played for him. And the gentleman I called, I think he played for one of the guys that he wanted.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And then you can go back and I'm sure there's people in the community that still remember
That played for other
the
people.
gym teacher we had many years ago. And it's not this board's fault that somebody didn't come sooner
No.
honoring those other people.
Yeah.
And we would like to honor this gentleman right now.
Yeah, I think the time and the situations dictate all that. This is just opening it up for us to be able to do that. It's also giving this gentleman a peace of mind, knowing that it's not a policy and it's a set thing now, because we agreed to this. You know, and he knows exactly what he's getting.
Yep.
And it's not like maybe there are other people that were fantastic that could have been, but this situation dictates this. He came forward and we're honoring an amazing situation and an incredible gift. So I move that we accept it as changed.
We just gotta make sure that
What are we accepting?
we understand the changes. So you don't think it'd be good to go through, see, my thought is if it went through the exec committee with the superintendent, a lot of this could be taken care of as a presentation then to the board.
Yeah, okay.
That it would come out of the executive committee with,
Not this specific one.
oh, not this one, I'm saying in the future in policy.
Future.
Yeah,
You mean adding that?
that would be, maybe the route that we would take to get this done. And now, at least 3 board members and the superintendent would be flushing this thing out and going through the whole thing. But not this one. I think we're gonna accept this gift.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Chris.
Okay, so what I would do is move to add on the end of this, request or recommendations for facilities/buildings, namings for facility/building naming will be referred to the superintendent and executive committee for recommendation to the full
Yeah,
board.
executive committee.
Yeah, not or, and the executive. Right?
No, right, the superintendent and executive committee for recommendation to the full board.
Yeah.
That way,
Yeah.
you get that, and right, you're not gonna do it on this one. It would be
Correct.
silly to work backwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
That would take care of one of my concerns, that how would you stop an inappropriate kind of thing?
Yeah, and it is possible that there are gonna be people with names that you just wouldn't wanna put on a sign,
Right,
just saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so that kind of takes care of, that was one of my other concerns, that how would you?
We wouldn't have to vote that down as a board. If it, you know, if it was an inappropriate sort of thing, we'd just say, well, you refer to that to the
Right,
superintendent
yeah.
and the committee, and
Private.
they'll get back to you, you know?
There may come
Yeah.
forward someday, somebody with a nice sporty name that, you know, you might want to put on a sports thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The other thing that I was thinking of when I was going through this is,
No, we have not voted on the amendment yet.
no, let's vote on all of them if we have any more and get them
Okay.
all at one time. The other thing is there a length of time that we would go with?
I mean,
I mean, I was just
Between
thinking, well, the reason I'm saying that is I was thinking when they redid the floor at JFK,
Oh, I see, I see.
they
I see.
took the sponsors' names off. I don't know if those people, when they said, hey, here's $20,000, if they were told it was 10 years or however long. Is there a time limit on this kind of stuff? That's the only other.
Yeah, there used to be a Millerfield, you know,
Yeah,
now
somewhere
it's
in this policy
family,
it says-
you know. So I think if that's in the contract, but I don't necessarily think.
So
not
the,
for the naming of it, or something like this, I wouldn't think.
in the policy, it says, once a facility has been officially named by the school district, it shall not be renamed except for compelling reasons to be determined by the board. So there is an out in terms of a decision that the board could collectively make to make a decision.
Like somebody shows up with 500.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, that would be like all of a sudden 20 years down the line, you find out that
Right.
somebody had 16 cases of child abuse or something like that. You'd be like, oh my God, we gotta get rid of that. That would be a compelling.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Because portions of a facility or building may be named, also named using criteria, so we can.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I
That
think
gives the
that's.
That's exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah. Michael, anything you can think of?
Covered it well.
Will this cover everything that the Jones family?
Let's double check so it doesn't come back to us. So that will be okaying the 200,000 and the gift. Is there anything, we talked about going to the executive committee for any new,
For any new
Going
ones.
forward,
Yeah.
right, superintendent, executive.
And the executive committee and.
superintendent? Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Biff?
Yes.
So what are we doing about that second paragraph? Any employee of the district must be deceased or no
It's,
longer?
it's not recommended.
It's not
for-
extra, so
I see that.
get rid of it.
Okay, yeah, okay. so
That would be eliminated.
That's what we're doing.
Remove that,
Yeah, got it.
which is silly anyway, I think.
When I contacted Neola, because I asked her about that very question, I said, why is that in there? What's the rationale for that? Well, conflict of interest, or, but she said a lot of school districts do exactly what we're doing. They just eliminate it. That one sentence.
Yeah.
Take it right out.
I would think so too.
All right. So we have the amendment that it would go to the executive committee with the superintendent. Recommendation would be forwarded to the board.
Yep. And the removal of that sentence.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all right.
I move we accept that.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Carrie. Any other discussion? Yes.
I would ask if they'd amend their moment to accept all of them, all of the policies. Not.
Oh,
Including this one as amended.
Yeah, right.
and the
Okay,
other one,
I'll accept that.
and the other one as amended? That we made that little
Right.
amendment? Yeah.
That was
Okay. All right.
We're gonna accept, well, okay.
accept them
We'll have
all
to
as
take-
amended.
Okay. Any
As long as you got them
discussion on
straight.
that? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed say nay. The only thing I'm thinking about now for the board, because we've changed this policy, blah, blah, blah.
Has to come back.
We have to take that back to the board. Do we want to send a recommendation to accept and name the ball field? Because
you know, we should have a.
We already did
a
that.
separate one
And
for
we'll,
that?
we'll
We
put
already
that.
did
on the
that
agenda.
pending we change this policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
We've accepted
we'll have
that. We will accept it.
To be double sure, we'll have that on the agenda for next week.
We
So
can.
that the board publicly.
But as of right now, just so he understands, this is fully done.
It's
Yeah,
done.
right.
Yeah. And
It is.
it basically fits what we did anyway, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so under new business, you want that?
So we really think that this whole project is gonna go to fruition, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're probably.
I mean,
around
this
700.
$200,000 they got.
Yeah.
That
They're
was, that
covered
was,
for
that
the
was,
field,
that was a big,
which includes the turf
it was a
and
big lump.
backside.
Yeah.
They hadn't done very.
Parking lot is
very
something
much.
that's gonna be future.
Yeah.
We estimated in our, I'm not sure if you were here, yeah, you were, maybe. We estimated the parking lot itself is gonna be about $400,000 to $450,000, and that was a couple years ago.
Yeah. Too bad we didn't ask the city to do that before they gave us the field. Yeah.
Well, they were gonna dump it anyway.
They have.
Yeah.
Right back to the-
Why did they give us?
Doesn't matter who's
We
mayor.
could have got,
Somebody's not managing money over there in the city.
Why did they give us that?
oh, they just wanted to dump it. They didn't want to deal with
They
it.
didn't want to put
It
in,
was too much
how much was the
work.
track when we put that in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The track and the field was like this, they never cared it, so
Yeah, that's right.
they wanted 1.2 million for it, I think.
Yeah.
Never went anywhere, so they gave it up or what?
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, because I was the head of the recreation committee and I said, taxpayers already bought that, they own it, why would you now want them once again to pay for something they already own?
Right.
Well, it's a different branch of government. No, I paid for it, why would I buy it again? Well,
There are people called me that don't want this project.
Yeah.
And they say, well, you know, you're always like poor mouthing around the community. You don't have money for this and money for that, but you can do the baseball field. I said, well, they're very distinctive categories in the budget, in the finances of the school system. But most of the baseball field is going to be paid for not by school money.
if we get $2.5 million field for $900,000, that's a good deal for the taxpayers, considering there's no running water except under.
Yeah, there isn't,
There's no
except
bathrooms at that place.
except the tiling that's in the field. Yeah.
All right, did we vote on that? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we
Okay,
did.
so then, is there anything else? I don't think so.
Yeah, one more thing. Motion to adjourn.
Oh, okay.
Second.
Thanks, Matt.
Oh, I
I got
could
a
have
motion
an
to
hour.
adjourn in a
before
second. All those in
Anyway.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Thank you,
So
gentlemen.
you didn't talk about anything before I came, did you?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, we changed 3 policies.
We did do the one.